Right. We'll probably start. I don't have any topics in the other pad for this week. There's nothing new that came up. We can maybe talk a little bit about the um, the dependencies thing that Riddle is dealing with right now.
The restart, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You want to
I
give
will
people like a
put the.
overview on that?
This is basically the pull request. Right now we are having. Well, we have an issue open with vstart, which consists basically that if you try to run or to create clusters in vstart and enabling Ceph ADM, this fails, and this happens because vstart is not able to load dependencies of the Ceph ADM. And this is caused mainly because these dependencies are not installed since they are runtime dependencies. So in a normal deployment, you will have these dependencies, but if you build Ceph from sources and then you try to launch the vstart, then it will fail because of these dependencies. This pull request was to add our dependencies as part of the build requests, but Kifu Chai commented that since they are not strictly speaking Ceph build dependencies, then we can't add them there. The problem is that where can we put these dependencies if we can't add them there? I mean, it doesn't seem to have like simple solution right now.
Right. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at with that. I posted the two sort of relevant things to look at in the other pad. So there's the one pull request that was meant to add the dependencies, and then there's the second one is a issue comment, or not issue, but it's a comment on a past pull request and that sort of stuff. Um, essentially saying that they're having issues getting vstart to work now that that's been added in.
Yeah, probably it's related to the same since not stored dependency is not loaded. I mean, from the log they put, I can't see anything relevant because it's just like command failed, but maybe there are some more logs
Yeah.
that could shed more light on what's going on.
Yeah. So there's two sort of things going on that we have to figure out. So one is in the short term, we have to get vstart working again. I know some people use that for development tool. So either if we can maybe get a quick solution that's like okay, or if we have to revert that sort for the time being, just to get that sort of fixed, and then maybe we can come up with something better. And then the second part is we have to actually have a long-term solution for where we want to put runtime dependencies. It seems like we have places for build dependencies, but there's not really anywhere for a runtime dependency like this. So
Yeah.
in future cases, we have to figure that out as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's basically the issue. Does anyone have any initial thoughts or anything?
To be honest, I mean, right now I don't have any alternatives because unless we added some new file to put our runtime dependencies or to put the vstars dependencies, but normally when we start adding this kind of replication, having inconsistencies between the different files, and you have to keep whenever you add a new dependency, you have to touch a lot of files. So it's not that simple. The best thing would be like if we can use the same Ceph spec that in order to install these runtime dependencies, if we would like to like add some flag to the install deps script. So we specify like runtime, something like this, and then you get all the runtime dependencies also if you want to run the vstart.
Yeah,
or
I mean, it
not
would be
commit.
convenient to have it that way, but I assume Kefu has some like sound logic on why they shouldn't be in there.
Yeah, I just read his comment. It seems correct to me. I'm trying
Yeah,
to catch up on this. So I'm just trying to skim this spec file quickly. Um, there do seem to be some runtime dependencies already there in the various sub packages. Do both of these just apply to the manager only?
I would
I'll
think
also
they're
admit
all.
to having zero understanding of how this interacts with vstart. So do correct me if I'm saying stuff that doesn't seem.
so
But just from an RPM
it,
spec
it
file point of view, it's a
it
runtime dependency should be where it belongs in a requires line for the thing that requires it.
or Ceph ADM. If you go to the spec to this manager Ceph ADM section, we do have this requires lines, but to be honest, I don't know um, when are these dependencies installed. If it is done during the build, or they are just installed when you are building some image or downloading the package. So I don't know how these dependencies are handled.
Yeah, we
We
may
do
need to get
have
somebody who knows better the build process
yeah,
and how this stuff
yeah,
works.
we do have this section. I'm sorry for this big block of text. This is the section basically of Ceph manager Ceph EDM from the spec file.
You think they
And there,
they'll like the line in GitHub instead of the
Hmm.
yeah,
text?
let me go to the file.
I am sort of wondering so async SSH has obviously been in for a while, and I know it broke it with the Ceph ADM flag. It's just because this is one's in the orchestrator that it breaks everything instead of just the Ceph ADM flag. I think async SSH might have been entirely within the Ceph ADM module.
Yeah, we have the same issue with the async SSH and with the new dependency added.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why
I
the
haven't
impact is bigger here.
I haven't looked at this much, but it looks like there are sub-packages for various manager module sections. There is a sub-package manager modules core, sub-package manager rook, manager KS events, manager SFADM, and here it is, requires async SSH. Oh, so you already have it in here?
Yeah,
I see both of them.
yeah, the dependency, but these are runtime dependencies. So
Right.
I imagine that when you install the Debian package or the RPM package, the RPM will actually get these dependencies and install them. But if you build the Ceph from sources and then you run the vstart, the vstart is just a script. It doesn't install the dependencies of the different binaries you are running.
Okay. So this is all about vstart then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, actual stuff should be fine. Like we ran tautology and everything in the builds all worked and the tests passed. Just restart.
Yeah, just vstart.
Okay. Yeah, so it sounds like if vstart doesn't look at the RPMs, if it doesn't use them at all, you need another mechanism for saying this is a runtime dependency.
Exactly.
All right. I think I'm on the same page as both of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, maybe I didn't explain it
Okay.
at the beginning.
Yeah, so I do think Kifo's point is 100% correct at putting it into the RPM spec file as a build dependency.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
The workaround I provided in this pull request should work, because if you are building Ceph, you will get these dependencies, but strictly speaking, they are not build dependencies. So Kifuchai is right, because
Yeah.
they are not build dependencies. But at the same time, we don't have right now any mechanism to put somewhere these dependencies, so anybody who wants to run vstart will get them automatically, or at least have some script to install them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like we all need to understand VStart a little bit more before we can make educated guesses about how to fix it.
I think that's part of the problem, is that our team doesn't use vstart very much.
Mhm.
So I don't know much of it works. Also, I guess we don't catch when things are breaking.
Yeah. As far as I saw, I mean, in the script,
Well, if any,
vstart is just a bash simple script that's like run whatever you specify. And as far as I saw in the scripts, there is no like section to handle dependencies, or specific section to handle dependencies. So it assumes that you have everything and you are just starting whatever you need, like monitor, manager, or whatever you want to launch.
Okay. All right. Well, so leaves sort of the question
Which is, I mean, this, sorry, Adam, I mean, this kind of issues we are having with CephADM could happen with any Python model, because the other binaries, since they are C and C++ binaries, if you don't have some dependency, you will not be able to link the binary. But Python models are dynamic, and so far, if you don't call the import or whatever, it will not fail.
Okay. I mean, maybe an alternative could also be, for the time being, is I know for some other imports we like handle exceptions if they don't work. We could like try to import it, and then if it doesn't work, we just pass, you don't do anything on the exception, and then in the part where we use it, we could also handle an exception there, and then we could work around it that way. It's sort of messy, but it would allow us to keep the that sort of stuff in, and it would work in actual builds, and it just wouldn't affect vstart at all.
As far as I know, I think SSH, for example, is a must-to-have dependency for CephADM, as I saw in the code.
That one we have to, but the thing is, because it's not in the orchestrator, it's only in CephADM Manager module. It only breaks vstart with the CephADM flag, which not a lot of people are using, or really anybody right now, because it's been broken for so long. But if we break vstart in general by breaking like what the way NetSort does, then that's causing actual issues for people. Yeah, so that might be a potential solution, is to just work around exceptions in places where we actually use it. If you can reproduce the issue, then you could test something like that. Again, just like accept they're handling import errors for NetSort, and then anywhere we use NetSort, or maybe it'll set a variable or something if we have it, if the import fails, or however we want to do the exception handling, and then if that's set, we like don't try to actually use it in the orchestrator commands that are touching that. That way, again, if it doesn't work, the import fails for whatever reason, it doesn't actually break anything. But if it does work, then it still will use it properly.
Yeah, we can, for example, mock the not sorted call. So if we are not able to import the not sort package, we just mock the not sort by normal source command.
Yeah, something like that.
It's
It's probably better actually than just exception handling everywhere. It's just if the exception fails the first time importing, just have some sort of mock-up thing that we'll call instead.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
I think we do that for something else. I don't remember what thing it was, but I'm pretty sure. I think it might be something related to async SSH that we had to do that for, because it was only in like Pi 3.7 onwards or 6 onwards or something. I don't remember anymore. But I think we've done that before. So that could be our good short-term solution. Get it working, so people are unblocked, and then in the long term we can try to coordinate with people who actually understand vstart. Maybe figure out somewhere to put runtime dependencies for the Python modules.
I like that. I think it's a good idea, at least to not keep people like waiting for us to drop the
I just
final
don't want to
figure.
block people.
Yeah.
All right. You handle that stuff?
Yeah, sure.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, I had a question. I mean, I use the Ceph ADM flag. I mean, I just manually install these missing packages with VStart. But what do you guys typically use for developing?
I personally have been using KCLI, just start up VMs,
Okay.
like full-on VMs and doing it that way. I think that's sort of common. Or I think Redo, don't you do the same?
I use also KCLA.
Yeah, I think John uses Cpatch.
Yeah, I build containers with Cpatch, and I have my own crazy thing for bringing up VMs.
Mhm.
I use it for ODF as well, so I'm not going to explain it. It's a little, personal.
Yeah, but again, that's part of the issue is nobody in the team uses vstart too much, so we don't notice, I guess, if we're installing things that won't work by default in vstart, and then it causes issues for people.
One thing we could consider doing, this further down the road or as part of this effort, is we don't have like requires.txt files for the Python stuff. A lot of it's embedded in the tox files for tests. We could consider doing something like a requires.txt that could then be sourced by the tox INI, and then other tools like if people had VMs and they were or whatever, and like pip installing that stuff rather than having it come through RPMs. Something to consider as we look at this.
Well, we do have these requirements files, as far as I saw. Like manager, for example, in the roots of the manager, you have the requirements. Then you have like
All right.
2 files. You have requirements
Maybe I
required.
overlooked it.
Yeah, so we already have these files, but probably they are not used. If you go to the manager,
Yeah, I know Tox uses them. I don't know if they're used anywhere else.
probably we depends on like for Debian or RPM packages, they use this Ceph spec in file, and for other stuff they use the requirements.
Okay, yeah, so we do have some. I guess it's not missing like I thought it was, but maybe it could be expanded.
Yeah, I think they're just waiting for them. I don't think anyone ever uses them for anything. They're just there for our Tox testing.
Already have this file where we have all the requirements for the manager.
Yeah, so those are mostly for PyTest.
Hmm.
But we could do something similar to what Ceph Volume does, which is create a Python virtual environment in the build directory using this requirements text file. That'd be another way to go about this.
Yeah, I like the idea of it all, especially if somebody else is already doing it in the project.
You mean when running vstart creates virtual environments, or?
I believe at Ninja build time. When we build.
At the Ninja build time.
Oh, yeah, I think that's when it's hooked in. But either way, I've seen Ceph Volume do this. So if you go into the build directory, there's a Ceph Volume directory with a virtual environment in there. And that might have implications if we want to, say, modify the source code and then just fail the manager when you're running in a vstart environment. I'm not fairly certain there.
Yeah. As far as I know, the vstart runs directly on your machine, so it's not in any kind of virtualization.
Right. I think we're going to have to revisit this topic after getting some more info from people who understand the building stuff better. But at least we have some idea. I should have probably written those down, actually. That one, at least the last one, I'll put in the other pad. And if you guys have any other ideas, maybe that I've gotten that I've gone over, to add that to the other pad as well.
We have the kind of dirty workaround right now just to install them manually, and you have to install them at system level. It doesn't work if you just put them in your local Python, because the vstart will not pick them from there. So I will comment the original issue to add this workaround. Meanwhile, if anybody get the same error, he can go there and see that there is a workaround.
Yeah, you guys, that'd be nice to do like immediately, and then we could get the mock or whatever of that sort as well, and then that should solve that. And that'll at least give us time to work on like a real solution.
Yeah. This
right.
is.
What, Beto? Go.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm okay with your proposal. So.
All right.
Do you have some other topic, Adam, to discuss?
So I kind of came into this one without planning anything.
Okay.
We could maybe talk about, or I'm not sure if there's anything to say. I was gonna say maybe talk about HNFS again. I'm not sure anything new has come up since last week. Maybe the only update is I guess we have the Pacific version of the Keep Alive for SSH requests or SSH connections, so we don't have to worry about backporting async SSH. I know we were considering that as an option if we had to. And I know Mike was testing something with removing things from some config thing with NFS. I can't remember anymore, and that didn't quite work.
Yeah, I was hoping to speed things up by removing the failed daemon from the Ganesha Grace DB, which didn't appear to work out. So the clients were still, the clients were mounted in hard mode, so they still hung. But it did raise a question in my mind: can we scale down the service, even regardless of HA? So we had to explore that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure when we say if you apply a new service. Yeah, I guess because it wouldn't move the daemons or anything if there was already some there. I don't know how the fencing will work around that. If you were to say I only want 2 of them now, specifically.
Yeah, so say we had a count of 3 and then we reduced it to 2. What would happen? Yeah. Would the clients be able to continue? So
I'm not sure how good the fencing process is, if it handles it or not.
I think the fencing is okay, but there's something, and it does remove from the Grace DB. There's just something that goes on in Ganesha Core where the clients just don't resume reading and writing. So I'm not sure the cause there. Need to look at it more.
All right. And as for what we're going to actually deliver for Pacific, is our plan still just to have sort of the host watcher, the SH keep alive connections, and just rescheduling? Is that like our best sort of thing to do right now? I think we've come with anything else.
It seems the most pragmatic to me. I still hesitate on the agent. I think we had to keep that out of Pacific.
Yeah, I don't want to put that in Pacific either. And even then, that would mostly be for just making sure you don't have to worry about the refresh times. It wouldn't solve sort of the core issue of it. It would just sort of, I guess, improve the worst case time for it happening.
Yep.
Right now, we are risking the fact that you might have to refresh all your daemons, or might try to refresh all the devices as well, or something, and you could take you quite a while to have it reschedule the NFS daemon. But So it would solve that, but it would still be nice if we could have some way to, like, I don't know, do it a bit faster still. But I don't think it's going to happen in Pacific.
Agreed. Yeah. But this is a good step either way. I mean, just solving the host offline case is good.
All right. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up again because I know some people who jump here are interested in that. That's the update there. Looks like we're sort of set what we're going to do specific on that. I think all it's left really to do is backport a couple things. There's any of that stuff not merged yet up in master. I think the host protection thread is still not merged. I need to do another QA run, but I think it's sort of eased up a little bit. I know for a while you couldn't get anything through QA really. It was super slow. I think I could better get a run in today or tonight. So hopefully get that one in as well. Then I'll just be getting some backports. Right there. All right.
I had a question around it. So do we have a tracker ticket for the issue of deploying multiple NFS Ganesha daemons belonging to the same cluster on a single host? I know we talked about this in the last meeting.
I don't think there is a tracker issue for co-location of NFS daemons. We probably should make one, I guess, because we do want to get that to work so that we can not force you to have extra hosts sitting around for it. So I guess we should make one. But yeah, I don't think there is one right now, as far as I know.
Okay. And should I mean, I can go ahead and create it. Do you want me to create it under Ceph Manager or under Ceph ADM project?
Usually I just put everything on the Orchestrator project.
Okay, I can do that. And do you have plans for that to be backported to Pacific once we have a fix for it in master?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why. I mean, I guess, yeah, because it wouldn't depend on any async SSH or the agent or anything. That would just be its own thing. So I guess it could be. Probably wouldn't get it in as soon as the other things. Like, I don't know when this would get done. I'm not sure how much work it would take to get that working, but yeah, I don't see why not. It's not something that would just built on top of some larger thing that's only in master.
Okay.
I think the larger challenge we have there is the port conflict resolution. So being able to know what those are on the host switch ports are in use.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We do this for RGW already, don't we? So because you can co-locate those now. I know they use
That's
a port.
true. Yeah.
So we should have some logic there to handle it. I just need to look at how it works for RGW.
There is some logic where it kind of starts at the default NFS port and then it just kind of increments forward. I think the problem is that we're not really aware of which ports are already in use on the host.
Yeah,
so,
and this is why I'm wondering how it works for RGW, because it seems like it'll set like port one will go like 8080, and the next team will get 8081. I'm pretty sure. Like it'll actually implement them.
Yep.
I'm not sure how it knows. I'll have to check how that's actually implemented. But if it is implemented in a more generic way, maybe it'll work for NFS as well. I don't want it to be that bad. Okay.
Yeah, and to be clear, we can actually do this. Like if you have two NFS services, it's just you can't co-locate daemons within the same service.
Yeah.
This breaks down. So.
I guess also the other thing that makes it a bit weird is that with at least with RGW, you specifically tell you like we want two of them on the same host. Like that's very explicit. This would be like sort of us deciding that on our own. Yeah, so it wouldn't be like planned, like, oh, I will definitely be putting two on this host. It'll be like, I'll have one on this host, then another one might show up if I need it later, because there's other hosts got taken away or something. So that also would make it a bit harder, probably.
Yeah.
But there is at least some background there, but I think it'll be maybe a complicated change.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and create a tracker ticket for now, because we want to track it for OpenStack as well. The other question I had is we weren't even able to mount the NFS export when we had an Ingress daemon running. So I'm wondering how we were able to test it.
I remember that tracker.
Yeah, let me paste it here. I asked the OpenStack team to create it because both of us hit the same issue. the CephFS team as well as the OpenStack team.
So I know we have tests for NFS with Ingress technology. I'm not sure how it has never hit this. This is doing something a bit different.
I just wanted to ask Mike because he's been testing the HA. Mike, do you run Ingress service on top while you test your HA?
I do, yeah. So HA proxy and keep alive D using the ingress flag when I deployed the NFS service.
Okay.
So, and then I just kind of give it a VIP as well.
Mm-hmm. And how do you create the cluster? Do you use the NFS cluster create command or do you use the service specs?
I've been using the cluster create command because I believe with the service specs, there's a few things missing there. Like I don't think we do the application pull enable for NFS on the Rados pull and a few other little nuanced things that are just only within the cluster create command.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And this works in Pacific as well? To set up your testing?
I've been testing against master. I haven't tried this in Pacific yet. We need to. As soon as Adam gets his backport for the SSH timeout, yeah, that would be a good time to do that.
Yeah, and that one in particular, at least, is in Yuri's testing thing. But the other one, the watcher that gets hit every like 20 seconds, that one is still not merged in master yet. And then the actually rescheduling needs to be backported to Pacific to do as well. So I get a test run in today for this ones. Maybe I get that one in the master, and then we could have a backport for the other two open soon. And maybe by like the end of the week, that'll all be in Pacific.
Okay.
Proper testing.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be great if we can look into this, track it. It's been blocking the OpenStack team as well. 54470.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to see because maybe this is something that only happens in Pacific, not master. Not sure. Like, you've never hit this anything like this before.
I think I've seen similar things, but it's usually like there's something wrong with the network bridge, specifically the VIP. So some resolution problem, or very occasionally, sometimes as soon as I configure an export and the SIGUP happens for the daemon, it's supposed to reload the export config, sometimes that doesn't occur. That's really slow. But this looks a little different because I think they mounted the daemon directly, and that succeeded, but they were unable to mount through the VIP. So
yeah. So we were wondering if there's some issue with the setup of the HA proxy service for NFS in the Cephadium code. Sorry, in the orchestrator code.
I'm kind of wondering about your port here that's 2049.0. Should that just be 2049, perhaps?
I think even when I used 49, whatever we set it up as, there was an issue. Because I think you can also set up the port you want the daemon to listen on. That can be configured. But yeah, I don't think it's a port issue.
Yeah. It definitely looks like some sort of connectivity thing. I would kind of fill around that, the network bridge and pinging the VIP and a few things like that. Get narrow in.
Okay. I mean you mean the way the VMs are set up while testing? Which network are you talking about?
The VIP address, the 159 address.
Okay.
Oh wait, except for it did connect to the reason-based server, no such file or directory, because it did resolve it. I mean, the other thing you could try is just mount at the root of the NFS volume and see if you see the exports there. You can just list all the exports. There's like a pseudo file system or NFS.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, I think, yeah.
And I'm happy to take a look if there's some way Adam or someone can, I don't know, if it's accessible to me.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we can provide you better logs. So yeah, maybe the Ganesha logs here, why the server denies it, the access. So yes. Okay.
My understanding, like, are you doing something similar to what they're doing in this tracker? It's just that you're not hitting the same issue, or are you actually doing something different?
Yeah, it's the same issue. I'm sorry, were you talking to Mike?
Yeah, I was asking for his testing if he
Okay,
does a
sorry.
similar setup or like set of commands or whatever to this one.
Yeah, it looks like I do almost exactly the same thing. Maybe the only difference is I use the cluster create command. And I think you guys used just a YAML that you applied to the orchestrator.
Yeah, I think we want to not just use the cluster create because it's not flexible. So
Okay.
we want to, like you said, there might be something missing that cluster create does, and individually deploying the NFS cluster and then the English service on top of it. There's certain setup steps that are missing that makes this not work. But
Yeah, that's kind of my guess. I kind of wonder if there's something really subtle ingress related in the
yeah,
cluster create command. Oh,
yeah. I mean, I just wanted to highlight this because it's something that we need to look at. Yeah.
All right. Ronnie, you worked with the NFS module before, right?
Yeah.
Did you make any changes there? Could you figure out if there is anything like that in cluster creates? Just to figure out if that's where your problem is.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it and yeah,
Right.
see if there's something obvious.
So we have a few options. I mean, it could be that it's that. Because he said it's working for Mike, so it's not can't be like a totally generic thing. So it's either that something that's only in Pacific. So I assume your testing is in Pacific, whereas Mike's testing on master. Um, it's something that's specific to the cluster creates, or it's some sort of environmental thing, like the networks are set up or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I tested this with master and used cluster create, and I hit a similar issue. So yeah, I'm
Okay.
guessing something related to the networking. So, yeah, that
All right.
Mike was talking about.
That was a bit tougher to figure out, but
Yeah. Yeah, I need to figure out what logs I can provide so that, you know.
all right.
Yeah, but it's good to know that it works for Mike. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you guys can coordinate an IRC or something.
Yeah.
Like information maybe could be useful.
Yeah.
All right. Does anyone have anything else you need to say about HNFS? Questions or anything? No. In that case, I think we can end for today.
I have just I posted a PR this afternoon. This is somehow an old issue with Ceph ADM. I basically tried to solve by creating something specific for the boot trap. I started working on the issue, then I saw that there were like some attempts in the past that were rejected because in fact in Ceph ADM normally we handle the output. So we use standard out for JSON stuff. So that's comment from Mike, I think, in the past. Do you remember this issue, Mike?
Yeah, I think so. So like most have been Ceph ADM. Sometimes it's just freeform human readable, and sometimes it's JSON, depending on the command.
Yeah.
The manager expects structured output on certain commands, and other commands are tended to be user facing. But we don't really have a formatter, which would probably be nice.
Yeah.
Because I know there's been issues like specifically on Bootstrap. Someone may want to get the dashboard URI or things like that, but it's only printed out in human readable form at the very end of Bootstrap, but there's no machine readable way to just gather that, like script
Oh,
it.
so yeah. And so maybe this is like a different feature would be. In this pull request, I just tried to fix the issue with the messages redirection. So basically to send info and debug messages to the standard output and to send the errors to the standard error, which a normal Linux or Unix user would expect.
Say for me personally, at least I'd have to reread through these linked pull requests.
Yeah,
Figure out what's going on here.
that could be addressed during the review. So if you have any questions or comments.
I like briefly remember the idea of somebody loading, like printing out the bootstrap output in JSON in certain cases if you had like a flag or something. Like in the past, and they got, that didn't get merged in. I don't remember what happened with it. I don't know this topic's.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll give that a look.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Then anything else to talk about before we end?
Right.
All right. In that case, end here, and I'll see you all next week.
Okay.
Bye.
See you. Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks.